this is the point that I was getting to. I never did get to it. Is that if somebody wants to give of themselves, and you feel I shouldn't receive it, you shouldn't do that, because that was really hard for me when I started preaching, and people would say, how do we help? And I'm like, my mother said you can't do that. They are doing that because they want to. Okay, we don't pass a plate here. We don't do anything like that in the church. Okay, and so she said you have to. You have to receive that. And if you feel it's too much, then send it on to somebody else. But they are doing that because their heart is in it to do that. And so when you are treated that way by somebody, accept it graciously and then do them a favor in the future, whatever. Okay, but this is what Paul was referring to here as far as the people in Philippi. So here we go. It is this which Paul is referring to as fellowship in the gospel, which they had participated in from the first day. They helped Paul, supporting him even when he was preaching in other areas. Their willingness to give was so great that it appears he simply could not refuse their generosity. Because of this, he used an exceptional term, robbed, to show that he was relying on their generosity in a way that he felt almost uncomfortable with. And this is what I was saying. This is what my mom had to counsel me on years and years ago. He said, I robbed other churches, taking wages from them to minister to you. He's speaking about the Philippians who had nothing. They were just the Macedonians were poor, the Corinthians and the people down in Athens, and those are the rich high society people. And he said, I robbed from them so that I could minister to you. And when I was present with you and in need, I was a burden to no one. For what I lacked, the brethren who came from Macedonia supplied. And in everything I kept myself from being burdensome to you, and so I will keep myself. As the truth of Christ is in me, no one shall stop me from this boasting in the regions of Achaia. Why? Because I do not love you? God knows. Okay? He's telling them that because they have this wealth, he knew that he didn't want to be an imposition on them. He didn't want them to think, I'm doing this because I want your money, or I want your attention, or I want to be put in your high society. And so he purposefully did not take anything from those people. He continued to make tents, and he was a tent builder or a tent weaver, whatever you call it, tent maker. And that's what he did. He worked with his own hands, but the people, the poorest of the people, he accepted from them because he knew that if he didn't accept it from them, that it would have hurt their feelings as human beings. So it's one of those things that you just have to understand what the reference point of Paul and what he's speaking about. And this is what Paul was so grateful for. The poorest of the churches he ministered to were the greatest givers of all. Life application. The poor tend to give above their ability, even out of their poverty. At the same time, those who are well off tend to give less in proportion to their wealth. Let our hearts be willing to give at all times and in all ways if the cause is right. This is especially so with the furtherance of the gospel. In such cases, it is always right to so give.